Good evening, everybody. This is day 1156 days since Richard vanished from the barracks there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. And wow. Okay, so he didn't just vanish, he was code redded. I'm going to go really quickly. Let me see if I can. I'm trying to absorb everything that I wanted to share with you today because every day is breaking news. Every day is breaking news. Every day is more information. Every day um, we get institutional support right now, which is, it's put a little skip in my walk to get this institutional support um, because we've been waiting for it for so long. And so this is a very, very good news. Very good news. And things are just moving very fast. Okay, so tonight the internet seems to be doing well. And okay, here we go. Um, Number one, today Team Find Richard Halliday had a meeting, a phone meeting, communicated, connected with Interpol. This was huge. It's huge because Interpol is pretty private, and this took a long time to get together, and today it happened. So I'm very sorry for coming on so late, but it's just we've been doing this for 1,156 days, and you know day in, day out, sometimes twice a day, three times a day. And um, you know, uh, this is a quiet time, and I hope that everyone can get a nice cup of coffee, nice cup of tea. I know it's late, and just really absorb what I'm about to tell you, and then share it. Share it, share it, share it, because we're getting institutional support. We have of evidence, mountains of evidence. So this is what's going on. Institutional support plus evidence equals accountability. Accountability. So we are in a very good situation right now, and we need you. We need you to absorb this information, even though it's late. Um, we need you to absorb it, maybe watch it tomorrow. That's why last night, when the internet was giving me a hard time, I just waited and tried it again, and it worked. And so, because this is how important this time is. All this stuff that we've been doing for 3 years is coming to this time right now. We're praying. We're really praying. And so we need your help. Interpol accepted the phone call. Interpol, we communicated with Interpol today, and they are now aware, have registered that the Hart family is suspect in the case of Richard Halliday. They are aware that one of Richard's pictures that was given to Interpol was a tampered photograph, that Team Find Richard Halliday um, you know, really needs clarification on, right? But that it is, uh, seems to be Dallas Hart's picture. Interpol has registered that. They are investigating that. They are investigating who sent that picture. So this is, what agent sent that picture, right? That is very, very important. The other thing about Interpol that I hope that everyone is aware of is, you know, did Gregory Morales have an Interpol? I don't think so. Did Vanessa Guillen have an Interpol? I don't think so. But Richard has an Interpol, right? Richard has an Interpol. Please tell me if they had an Interpol, because I don't think they had an Interpol. But Richard had an Interpol, has an Interpol. Why? Because it's a yellow Interpol. It's not a red Interpol. Because they have nothing on Richard. Richard has a clean record, absolutely clean record, nothing there. And so his Interpol is a yellow Interpol. That means he's a victim of someone else's crimes. Okay? He's a victim of someone else's crimes. And it had to include Mexico. Okay? That's why you have Interpol. Because if it's just in the United States, you're not going to include Interpol. But because it includes the border, then it includes Mexico, then Interpol was contacted. So that is really, really important. Once I recover from all of that, that is huge, huge institutional support. That Interpol now is, has registered that the Hart family is a major suspect in our son's case, and Dallas Hart's picture is like somehow involved in this composite, this fake picture of Richard that was given to Interpol. So I think that is really, really important. Next, I have like 3 pages of information. The aircraft. We are such a fortunate family because we have amazing friends, and amazing friends do amazing things and have amazing information. And RIP dad, because my dad, such a friendly man, so outgoing, would give the shirt off his back. Anyone that knows him knows that's true. And so he made so many friends in his life, and his friends became our friends, and they have a wealth of knowledge, and they have a wealth of knowledge about planes and about pilots and about runways and about flying in Texas over to Mexico and from Mexico back to Texas. And don't forget that I was born at White Sands. I was born at White Sands, New Mexico. I went to school in El Paso. I went to school in Temple, Texas. I know Killeen. I taught school in Killeen. I met my husband while he was serving at Fort Hood. We were married on Fort Hood, now Fort Cavazos. Our first daughter, was born there in Killeen. We know that area. My husband was with the tanks at the time. He knows that land. He knows, he was a physician assistant with them. It's just incredible how God has prepared every inch of our life to help us with the search and the search for justice in our son's case. Because please understand this. The chain of command knew that Richard had been murdered, and they had found his partial remains early on. Early on. And it's not just this newest active duty soldier that is saying this is an open secret that they found Richard's remains early on. Remember, we have FBI man that is saying, I'm an employee of the FBI, and he's working next to a Dollar General, and he goes into the Dollar General, and he can't stand it that he has this open secret. You see, he can't stand it. You know, he told us he heard it from a lieutenant colonel. Who's a lieutenant colonel? Well, his son-in-law is lieutenant colonel in the G3 of the 32nd ATCOM, are our sons. Our sons G3 operations. Operations are not just anything. They're not the uh, if you make an analogy to weddings, it's not the caterers, right? It's not the musicians. It is the wedding planner. G3 is the wedding planner. They know everything. And so, FBI man, Nadal Baim, he walks in and he tells the cashier, uh, you can take down the flyers because it's an open secret that they know they have Richard's remains, his partial remains, right? And he's dead. He's dead. Shh, shh. It's a secret. It's an open secret. Shh, shh. So we have, you know, uh, mounting evidence all the time. It's so high. It's so much. It's overwhelming. The amount of evidence that we have, okay? Because we've worked so diligently as Team Find Richard Halliday, as through all of our wonderful family and friends, Team Find Richard Halliday, and putting this together. And so, um, absolutely, with this plane, we have been told that this plane carried fragmented partial remains of Richard, and absolutely has something to do with this case. Now, the plane that we were given, the TEL number 4, um, it's like, wow, wowzer, I don't know. But see, the thing is we have friends. My dad has friends, experience, all of this, and that plane can be flown with one pilot. That plane can be flown on short runways, land it, and also to take off. Um, that plane is absolutely capable of doing what we were told that it was doing. Um, if you don't fly a certain elevation, you can absolutely go over to Mexico. You can absolutely land on a runway. Privately, um, no one knows. So this is really, really important. Uh, yeah, and what does this mean? The level of crime here, the level of crime. This is why we need you. This is why we come on daily, because we need you. Because the level of crime here is so huge. And the level of monies that this involve is so huge. And for the longest time, the institutions were like, oh, I don't know if I can go near this. I don't know if I can go near this. But you cannot maintain this kind of crime forever. And, with more and more, and I also want to say that information has been brought to us that the law enforcement community was so lied to. The intel that they were getting were lies, were smears about Richard. And so they depended on that false narrative, um, without even ever knowing Richard, right? See, they couldn't fool us like they could fool people that never had met Richard. And when we were getting these smears about Richard, we were like, okay, whatever. Where is he? Where is he? You can judge him when we find him. And we were confident that he would be exonerated because we know Richard, right? But we didn't argue. We didn't say anything. We just said, whatever. Where is he? Where is he? Okay? We didn't want to stop. But for law enforcement and how overwhelmed they are, and can you imagine 2020? The overwhelming uh, environment that law enforcement found themselves in 2020 and 2021 was just incredible. And then on top of that, the COVID narrative, it was just so fortunate for the criminals and unfortunate for those that wanted to enforce the laws. Those Team Find Richard Halliday that wanted to find Richard. It was very unfortunate for us, but we were patient. We were long suffering. We have been long suffering. We are still long suffering, and we are relentless when it comes to finding what happened to Richard and demanding justice and demanding that they give us our son's remains. Whatever remains, they need to give us our son's remains. And we need justice for Richard. Now, do we have to have Richard's remains to make criminal charges? No. To make criminal charges for murder? No. We don't. So, this is, do we believe our son was murdered? 100% we do. 100% we do. Do we believe that he was a whistleblower? 100%. Do we believe that it was a code red that the chain of command knew and gave a green light to whatever, or even participated? They even participated, okay, in the retaliation. And so when we received institutional help today, double fold, maybe triple fold, because we received from the archives that they don't have any information on any chaptering of Richard and on an article, a field grade Article 15. They don't exist. Wowzer. Wowzer. We have it. They don't have it. That means they are tampering with Richard's file. They are scrubbing it. They are sanitizing it. And of course, it had his recent promotions in it from December of 2022 and April of 2023. April 9th. December 9th, April 9th of 22 and 2023. So we're still working on it because we want to be very thorough. But that makes 2 times they say, there's no evidence. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. It's been scrubbed, right? They didn't say it was scrubbed. They say, we don't have anything. There's nothing in his file. Okay? And, well, that makes sense because the other institutional help that we're getting is that we received information about Richard's setup DUI, a setup DUI that is really criminal because 2 weeks before Richard went missing, an agreement had been made that Richard's case would be dismissed. Okay, so that is on July 9th. It was the sign of the agreement, right? So 2 weeks before he goes missing, they're like, we don't have anything, nothing. This is dismissed. And Richard knew 2 weeks before he went missing that that case was dismissed. Okay, that case, there was an agreement to dismiss the case. Now, what's very odd is that they didn't dismiss it until September 20th, 2021, when they had made the agreement on July 9th of 2020. So, to dismiss it. So, there is, can you imagine? We were sitting in that meeting with Major General, now Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, being told that our son could get 6 years in prison because they take underage drinking seriously, when they knew that 2 weeks before he even went missing, there was an agreement made to dismiss that case. Can you, and they didn't even tell us? They are so criminal. They are so criminal. So we have people messing with his picture, overlaying it with a suspect in Richard's case, right? Like a composite, sent to the Interpol. We have a plane involved, right, with the connections, that now we're getting confirmed is absolutely capable of doing what we're told that it did. This is very expensive plane, very expensive. Then we're getting that we've been lied to even more, with this DUI, DWI. Oh, we take underage drinking seriously. Your son could have got 6 years in prison. That was misrepresenting the law. It was a false witness. It was a damn lie. Because they knew 2 weeks before there was an agreement made that had to have been signed, right? That the case was going to be dismissed. And they should have known because it had PTD on it, the pre-trial diversion, right? So the JAG, McGee, he absolutely, when he saw that, knew, ooh, wait a minute. There's an agreement here. There's an agreement. But that's not what they told us. They were putting forth a narrative to smear Richard, to make Richard look bad to his own parents, a whistleblower, not even telling us he's a whistleblower, right? Leaving that out, leaving out that he was a Park University student pursuing the CID, which we already knew, right? And we already talked about to Soto about it, but that he was a CID intern, that he was absolutely in that circle of CID agents and law enforcement, including DES and Chief of Security Thomas Kane, and of course Ann Ogle. He was in that circle. They're not telling us that. And here he is, free and clear, but afraid for his own life. I think he even asked for witness protection because he was getting threats. And I can tell you this, we have gotten threats. We have been harassed. We have been subject to vile and vulgar messages for months at a time, daily, and other things that have happened. So, what did they do to Richard? If they're going to do that to us, what did they do to Richard? This young soldier with no connections in El Paso or Fort Bliss, right? Just what did they do to him? Um, they pulled a code red on him. That's what they did, because I think that they were trying to groom him into their sick little law enforcement cabal. And he didn't want any part of it. He didn't want to be part of a predator, a pedophilia predator. He didn't want to spend his extra time watching child porn. He didn't, or even making it. He didn't want to do that. He didn't want to, you know, have orgies and wear doggy masks and, take drugs and deal in illegal crime. That's not what he signed up to do when he signed up for the army. That's not what he signed up for. And these are the law enforcement. No wonder Tavita Nusa lost his badge. And I'll tell you something. Why is it that, I looked up the sergeant, the sergeant first class. This sergeant first class today is a staff sergeant. 3 years later, he's a staff sergeant. What's going on? The amount of civil rights that have been violated, I looked it up. Duress under the color of the law. I have to look that up. And I have to learn it better. Because we are absolutely going to uh, get to the bottom of all of this. There's a couple other things here that I am working on. Um, we received information that the gate videos, the surveillance videos for the gates, they're missing, they're tampered with, right? Well, the day that Richard went and bought his pistol, those videos are also missing and tampered with. Okay? So was he with someone? What happened that day? So that's some things I'm still working on before I tell you. The other thing, isn't this huge news? This is huge news. When you put all this together, this is just mind blowing. Am I the only one? Is Team Find Richard Halliday the only one that thinks this? That this is mind blowing. Where are the arrests? Where are the arrests? Right? So, but they're coming. The knocks on the door are coming. They are coming because we're getting institutional support. And the more institutional support, what happens is it starts cracking the dam, and then everyone has to do it, right? Everyone has to then do their duty, do their job, and that's what's happening right now. I want to also tell you we have confirmed that very early on, Leilani Hart had access to Richard's file. Okay, we have proof of that. And I just want to tell you, how did this convicted criminal get unauthorized access to Richard's file very early on? We know that through Tavita Nusa. But why did she want it very early on? Okay, well, that's because her son was Richard's platoon leader. and absolutely is the major suspect in this case. The other thing, too, is we have confirmation that in Colorado there is a series of criminal records um, in Colorado with the Hart family. So that's going to be coming out also. Um, and where is Leilani Hart right now? Why hasn't she come on? Why hasn't she written us letters? Why hasn't she said, look, this, and presented her alibi or her evidence for herself and for her family? You know, I don't know. Where is Thomas Kane? Thomas Kane, remember when we put in the open records request for him, he refused as the chief of security of Fort Bliss in his official office, refused to answer our open records request. He rather commit a crime of not responding to us than to have to face what he would have to tell us. Okay? That's what it seems like to me. And the same thing with Ann Ogle. And the same thing with Anna Whitehead of Park University. And the same thing with Shane Smead, I believe is his name, the president of Park University. He rather risk obstructing justice or denying due process than what he would have to tell us and what the ramifications of that would be. In my opinion, I don't know. Maybe there's a letter coming. Maybe there's a letter coming, and we just haven't gotten it yet. We also know that while Dallas Hart was in basic training, he received a message. Because we're looking at phones, we're we have institutional support now, y'all. Okay, so Dallas Hart received a message that his mother did absolutely accuse him of incest, and he did not report that to the chain of command. At least there's no evidence of that, and maybe he did, but we don't know. Maybe it was swept under the rug, whatever. But you can't have that ignored, okay? Because that's illegal. That's illegal to be in an incestuous relationship while you are an active duty soldier. Okay? Um, yeah. That's about. Let me read the. Trying to be very quick tonight, because I need to get to everybody's questions. Please ask any question, and if you have any experience and wisdom, please share it over and over again. Do not hesitate to share it, because we need to get to the bottom of this. And this is so convoluted. This has so many different fronts to it that we really do need Team Find Richard Halliday's help with everything. And I have to mention the soldier that came forward that said it's an open secret, that they found Richard's remains early on, that he is never was missing, that he's always been deceased, he's always been a murdered soldier. Um, so that's important. The other thing is the other active duty soldier on Fort Bliss right now under immense pressure. Okay, immense pressure because he put in a request for a congressional. So when you put in a request for a congressional as a soldier, then they are obligated. Veronica Escobar is obligated to put him right there on top to address that and to put that forward, because he's an active duty soldier, and that's whistleblower status. That is, it carries more weight than a civilian. So that's very, very important. And so, of course, he's under immense pressure because it's very detrimental to Major General Eisenhower, right? Who now we have, we've cornered him. And I don't like to say cornered him. I don't know what other word can describe what has happened now. And and I can't say that we did it. I think he did it to himself. He cornered himself because we have been pleading, begging, really begging with him, in a very respectful tone. Uh, no less than seven official communications with with evidence to prove what we were saying was true and factual, and that we were requesting his help to unobstruct our son's case, to undeny the denial of due process that was going on in our son's case, with, of course, the help of Media Matters. This obstruction of justice was with a lawyer, was with a lawyers, was with Leilani Hart, was with Poche, convicted criminals, convicted criminal Leilani Hart, and Angela Korcherga, um, did not mention. I was always thinking maybe she didn't do a simple background check. I, but, she's an investigative reporter. She's an award winning investigative reporter. So I'm sure she did a background check, right? A simple background check is very easy for her to do. But she chose not to make people aware of that, which is a false witness. And for Media Matters to be a publicly funded media source, they can't do that. They can't do that. They can't obstruct justice like that. Tamper with a whistleblower, tamper with a key witness, tamper with an investigation into a missing soldier. This is despicable. And to say I'm taking public funds to do it? Yeah. So let me answer any questions. Oh, thank you, Anicia, praying for justice. Thank you, Danielle. Does the place where he purchased a pistol have cameras? Absolutely. Does it absolutely does. We went there. Now I have a meeting tomorrow. I have a meeting tomorrow and I'll get more information on this. But we went there and I'll give you more information tomorrow because this is really important information. Like I said, there's so many fronts and there's so much to remember and there's so much to review. No matter how much you review it, you have to re-review it. And because new information comes up and it opens up little doors in your brain. And then when you go back and review the information, it has a different meaning for you because you have extra information to apply to what you're reading. And so everything fits together more and leads to um, more information and really finding a solution in what happened to Richard. And so, is the tactical move storage unit involved? Yes. Is the arms room involved? Yes. Is the Van Buren house involved? Yes. Is the plane involved? Very expensive plane involved? Yes. Would that require a pilot? Yes. Um, would that involve going south over the border to Mexico? Yes. Is all of this now? Do I know everything perfectly? Well, let me tell you, when we put in those criminal charges, uh, all of that evidence can be all sorted. It can all be sorted. and we'll know the truth. And they'll put it together. We'll have people that will have full institutional support, and they can all put it together, and we'll find what happened to Richard. Um, and I'm very confident of that. I'm going to give them all these morsels. Absolutely. From the very beginning, we have been cooperating. We will give them all these morsels. They can work it all out. The fact is that Richard joined the military, was distinguished honor graduate, fact, from basic training of his cycle, in AIT for his cycle, fact, guidon bearer, fact, wanted to go into law enforcement, fact. Um, got involved in this little group of law enforcement criminals. Okay, not all law enforcement is criminal, but this group carrying on criminal activities. Was Richard a whistleblower? Fact. Was he retaliated against unjustly? Fact. Did they try to uh, clean his, or did they sanitize his file of that? Fact. Um, was he murdered? Yes. Yes. All of this, all of this information, the mountains of evidence that we have, the circumstantial, circled murder, right? You have circumstantial evidence here, circumstantial evidence there, circumstantial evidence here, and it circled murder. That's what absolutely what has happened. And so, so much so that we have generals rather not having their own soldiers six, right? Not sticking up for their soldiers. No, wanting to suicide a soldier, which this is something I wanted to say about Lieutenant General Bernabe. Lieutenant General Bernabe just came out with this poster, and I need to put it up. Did I put it up? I don't know if I put it up, but I need to. I absolutely need to put up this poster of him, and let me see if, yeah, that's that one. I don't think I put it up here. I will put it up, but anyway, it says, let me see if I put it here. And so I can read it to you because it's really important in all of this, because they are operating on deception. Okay? That's what they're operating on, and it is killing our soldiers. It's killing our soldiers. They cannot, oh, here it is. 3 harmful behaviors: sexual assault and harassment and suicide. Sexual assault and harassment, suicide, and racism and extremism. Look, this lieutenant general, right, wanted to designate our son. He tried. He tried to get the narrative to work out that he could suicide our son, that he could put that designation on Richard. All right? That is absolutely what he was trying to do. And that's what this PI was trying to help him to do. Right? And they wanted to put that label on Richard, that designation. But we have these designations that Richard was designated died while missing. Um, Homicide, deceased. Come on, tell us what all his designations are. List it out for us, but it's not suicide. And this sexual assault and harassment, hello, your barracks are co-ed. And, in the military, there's way more men than women. So that is a real danger to every female. Okay? A real danger. When you have that many men to so few women, and you're at, it's not like you're 90 years old in a old people's home, and you have a lot more women than men. Um, but this is vim and vigor. This is 17-year-olds to 25-year-olds all together in the barracks, and then you're locked in because it's COVID. Uh, Not. But, let's bring in the parties. Let's have the party girls. Let's bring in the drugs. Let's bring in the booze. And then you can say, as a general, in our beautiful uniforms with our stars, oh, sexual assault and harassment, that's a harmful behavior. Oh, yeah. And we take underage drinking seriously. And oh, yeah. Look the other way when you see the 14-year-old girls roaming around the barracks, being prostituted out, going in and out of different bedrooms. Look the other way. Look the other way. Don't see nothing to see here. Because that would be extremism. And I don't know about this racism thing. I mean, give me a break. I'm sorry. Um, I went to school at Bassett, okay? I went to school at Bassett in El Paso. All right? Um, I'm just telling you. There was probably out of 800 students, uh, yeah, I was a huge minority. Huge minority there. I got into, well, I don't even want to talk about it. Sammy could tell you all about it because we had some conversations about it. Um, you know, you just, there are mean people and there are nice people. Okay? And I think the mean people are the ones that are trying to stoke the sexual harassment and assault, the suicides, the racism, and the extremism. These are the people trying to stoke it. And the last time I was aware, Lieutenant General Bernabe tried to designate our son suicide, and while they had partial remains of our son, huh? What is that? Because died while missing wasn't enough. Um, Homicide wasn't enough. Um, Deceased wasn't good enough, and they couldn't even tell us. So, am I a little? I'm that DUI thing. That DUI that Richard had information that an agreement had been made 2 weeks before he went missing that were going to dismiss all those charges because he was innocent. That kind of raised my feathers tonight. And so I tried to stay very calm, right? I'm not allowed to get angry. I'm not allowed to get upset that they did this to to my son, right? To our son, to our soldier, to our volunteer soldier, to our volunteer son of this republic, um, that was so eager that he tried so hard and made Distinguished Honor Graduate for basic training his cycle and AIT for his cycle. That he was so eager, he wanted to be the guidon bearer. He wasn't ashamed of that. He was proud of that. And you see it when he holds the guidon. He was proud of it. And he wanted to be in law enforcement. And he played the piano. And he wanted to be married and have children. and treat them right. That's what he wanted. I know it. And, you know, there's a lot wrong on Fort Bliss, a whole lot wrong. And we need to, we really, I don't even know if we need to have a military base there. I really don't. I really don't. It's so right there being by the border. It is so tempting. There's so much money that can be made and so much criminal activity that can be easily planned and put together while taking advantage of the Americans, taxpayers' monies that they need. They need to have it. Um, yeah, I just, we need to rethink that. And I hope that we can get to the bottom of, well, I know we're getting to the bottom of it. The knocks are coming. And so we're asking to protect the courageous soldier, active duty soldier that put in that congressional request. Please sign the petition. Do more. Campaign. Campaign. Get 10 signatures. I didn't even have time to look at it today, and I need to post it, and I'll do that before I go to bed. But absolutely campaign to get signatures for this soldier, to protect him, to support him. It's something everyone can get behind. Everyone. Because we're talking about his life. And we're talking about the 14-year-old, the 14-year-old girls being prostituted out in the barracks. That's part of his inquiry. We need to get to the bottom of that, including Richard's case. We need to get to the bottom of that, including the JAG not responding to fraud, waste, and abuse complaints by active duty soldiers. We need to get to the bottom of that. So his congressional inquiry is absolutely crucial to making the changes that we all want. And that is for justice, that is for the safety of our soldiers, so that they can take the risk to defend rightfully our Constitution. But not these unnecessary risks, right? So many of them, they're criminals. Oh, yeah. Was it a fact that Richard was the person to purchase a pistol? Yes. Um, since identity was stolen. Oh, that's a good point. But I think we have extra proof, and I'm going to be, yeah, we're going to be working hard again tomorrow. Very hard again tomorrow to give you these answers. Or was it Richard's fingerprint at the time of purchase? Yeah, why did they want to, yep. We will absolutely, those are very good questions, Danielle. Very good questions. And we will look into those. We absolutely will. So, okay, everyone. Thank you so much. And thank you for waiting for us to come on here. We love you. We appreciate your help. Please sign the petition. That's very, very important to protect the soldier and campaign for it. Get other people to sign it. That's, you know, authentic, totally authentic, and an unselfish reason. Well, maybe it is a little selfish because it includes Richard's case, um, but I will authentically say that. But this is absolutely to help this soldier Very, very important. And if you feel like it's necessary after what you heard today to write the generals, um, yeah, that would be wow, what they did. It's just, when I said 44 four-star generals are serving foreign and domestic enemies. Oh, I did want to talk a little bit about Mealy. There was going to be a special on tonight, but I'll talk about that tomorrow. God bless you all. And, God bless our soldiers, our service members that joined and have stayed in their position to defend the Constitution, that want to get rid of this criminal element out of our military. Um, yeah, uh, you know, absolutely, that's who we are working for, is these soldiers. We want to help them. And thank you so much. Good night, everyone.